not being obliged in the CSRD to prepare a sustainability statement, the European Commission's SME relief package of September 2023 has identified this tool, so EFRAG Voluntary Standard for Non-Listed SMEs, that we call VSME, as a tool to support a better access to sustainable finance from the side of SMEs.
Around the world, the main thing for us is just to stay tuned, be open-minded, and work hard to reap the benefits.
2025, we counted 2,700 green tech innovative companies in France. They have 39,000 employees and 4.3 billion euros revenue.
Julia mentioned opportunity, and it would be very foolish for financial institutions not to look at opportunities, up-and-coming sectors, and also how sectors are changing, whether it's the haulage sector, whether it's the property sector. We really need to be forward-looking and support either the best or support the technology which is coming up and coming. One of the fastest growing sectors, for example, is climate tech. We don't have that much of it in Malta at the moment. And if you think about climate tech, you might think of Germany or the Nordic regions, the larger countries. But actually, some of the smaller ones are doing really well. Iceland, for example, per capita has attracted the most investment in climate tech, growing at about 43%. As a bank, and with a duty to our shareholders, it would be foolish for us not to try and at least engage in that.
First of all, we have to realize that this economy has been running at full speed at around 3 to 5% growth, which is something of a, how should I say, to be proud of. You know, with full employment, we have 1 in 6 in the population who are third country nationals who are helping us and producing. So we're at the cusp of involving ourselves in impact assessment.
CSRD, the scope is much wider, so it's large companies. So we took time in discussions and deciding which authority will be doing what. So then it was decided by the policymaker that each authority will take care of their own entities. So MFSA will be responsible for supervising sustainability reporting by listed entities and regulated entities, which fall under the remit of the MFSA. The Malta Gaming Authority will be responsible for the gaming companies, and then the rest will fall under the remit of the MBR.
Our last year's budget document was specifically called Focusing on a Well-Being Economy, in which we pushed forward the idea of economic growth, which can only be resilient if we truly embrace sustainability, digitalization, investment in human resources.
While the market is growing, questions persist about profitability and impact measurements. The market is estimated to be worth over $1 trillion, with an expected future growth.
I think that impact investment will give the opportunity to track the investment targets in several ways, not only the monetary ways, because we have now other environmental, social, and governance targets.
CSRD is almost the index of information that you need to manage as a business, and including the policies and processes related to those information. But they're actually reflected in other regulations more broadly across the European Green Deal. So CSRD mandates that you report as a business and that you therefore manage those informations.
distinguished panel with us today. They come from diverse backgrounds. They each offer unique insights on how this legislation and practices are shaping industry and what this actually means for the future of sustainable business operations.
If I'm not mistaken, the Commission, as well as commentators, generally have already pronounced themselves on this. We are lagging behind. A couple of trillions a year are required in order for us to meet those ambitious targets, ergo meaning that the momentum which we're seeing at this point in time in terms of directives, regulations, Commission delegated, regulatory technical standards and the like, it all makes sense in this framework rather against this particular backdrop as to why we are seeing this huge push or impetus in order to as much as possible incentivize private capital flowing into greener ventures.
Good legislation is holistic. It sort of covers it all. And then we know, of course, especially when we talk about taxonomy, it's still a work in progress. Okay, we've covered a lot of important emission sectors, but there are still important sectors such as agriculture and a few others which are still not covered, where the delegated acts are still being produced, which is, of course, a humongous amount of technical work that the experts have to go through. Literally, you have to sort of analyze every type of economic activity, and you have to write down very specific technical criteria.
How much are we exploiting our strategic position in terms of sustainability? We still have a long way to go, especially the blue economy. So we need to push forward to ensure that more companies invest in implementing investments on this blue sustainability economy.
The word report actually conditions us to think of just a report. We need to present a report. We need to prepare a report. Typically a two-dimensional report, and this is what's required, this is what I need to do. But today I'd like to challenge you a bit, to give you some idea. Connect that concept with technology, with available technology, the possibilities you can get from there.
And the third is because it is fundamentally the right thing to do. Because making profit at the expense of people and at the expense of resources which aren't ours, and at the expense of using the earth as a giant bin is just not right, you know? So, I mean, I guess some people feel the fairness consideration more than others. Some people are mainly concerned about the regulatory aspect, but whatever it is that floats your boat, there is a reason for us to be doing it.
Being part of the value chain also carries responsibility, right? We heard that if you're a listed company and you have a number of suppliers, or you're a large company and you have a number of suppliers, as a smaller supplier, you know, as an SME, you also have a responsibility. And it's essential that change, you know, starts forming part of your strategy there.
The private sector does not end up doing what the government should be doing. So if there is the need for reporting in the private sector and the government is enforcing that, is the government going to, and I say the government, okay, with a small g, but is the government going to practice what it preaches? Is government going to take the lead and show that it itself has these criteria or principles at heart?
See you next year. Take care.